that kind of goes into what we dipped our toe in a little bit last week when we talked about expectations of what people think blackness should be, and that's not necessarily just from black people. So when I read, and again, I wouldn't want to actually watch him say that in the reaction, but when he said that, that's sort of where my mind went a little bit too. That when he said that, there had to been some little thought in his head, like, okay, obviously he knows Candace someone says this, that, or the other when it comes to, well, for lack of a better term, dogging black people. And he has to have some type, I shouldn't say have to, but he likely has a thought in his head when it comes to Candace Owens is probably known for, that coonish behavior, whether he's using that term or not. I mean, let's be honest. J. Cole has been around black people, so he's not, you know, he's been around those conversations, so I'm sure he's aware of what we think of Candace Owens, right? So,
just to be clear, Cal Park Bros is not inferring that Jay Cutler is invited to the cookout. Just to be clear.
Yeah, he just shared the locker room. Okay, that's all we're talking about.
Like he can be the Uber Eats driver. Like
right.
He is not invited to the cookout.
Exactly. You can drop me off at the cookout, but you ain't staying. So there you go.
Right.
But yeah, I just, I mean, even though the comparison may be appropriate, I just found that kind of weird for that to be said by somebody who wasn't black. Not to say Jay Cutler shouldn't have said it, or he can't say that, but it's interesting that Jay Cutler, of all people, made that comparison or correlation from Candace Owens to Sage Steele. You know what I mean?
Well, why is that why is him connecting those dots? The Candace Owens at ESPN. I mean, it's abundantly clear that's what she's gunning for.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying though. So, okay, so obviously me and you, like you just said, it's obvious that the correlation of the coonishness between Candace Owens and Sage Steele
is correlation of coonishness.
So obviously you and I recognize it's there, right? And on some level, so does Jay Cutler, somebody who's not black. So I just find that interesting that he made that correlation himself for whatever reason, which he can explain. But I think it's pretty odd that if he doesn't think it's because of the coonishness, then what the hell is he talking about? You know what I mean?
I feel like how soon, like, do we even need to describe what coonish behavior is?
Well, and I guess this is the challenge of perhaps us doing double talk, because we were just saying and condemning people for perhaps, putting some sort of measure of blackness on other black folks or black people in general. But yeah, here we are referring to people as coons or coonish behavior. So
I mean, if the shoe fits, wear it. But the question is, and we're always going to start from the lens of, that's why that joke about our first Apple Podcast review is so raw and real, because Jason, I feel like I can speak for you and say our blackness has absolutely been called into question on occasion, hasn't it?
Why would you assume that, sir?
I wouldn't assume. Well, one, because you light skinned, and then two, because you friends with me.
Wait, because I'm friends with you, all of a sudden you assume that? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, there's an assortment of other reasons, and I'm sure if someone would have said, "Oh, well, he's not one of us," in quotations. If you've ever dated outside of your race, for example, it's almost like a purity test for blackness.
Is that the case still? I'm asking. I don't know. I'm asking.
From my perspective, yeah.
Now, is that based off off your perspective of what you might feel from other people our age group? Because I feel, which may be the case, but I feel like that isn't necessarily the case for the younger generation than us. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't know
I
why
I
we
don't
would
know.
say the younger generation is somehow opting out of that. You can't opt out of social constructs. That's not how social constructs work because they're social.
Well, maybe, but I don't know. I just kind of feel
Oh,
like,
I wish you was recording tonight because I feel like it's going to be a great discussion. Like, thank you, Sage Steele, for being willing to go directly into the social construct fucking wood chipper on the behalf of this show. Thank you. You are the gift that keeps on giving.
well, I just feel like the younger generation is kind of like that more open mindedness. Maybe some of those walls and blinders are taken off a little bit. Obviously, not fully, but at least when it comes to the measure of blackness, or not even just, I don't even want to just put this on blackness. The measure of your racial um, acuteness, we'll say.
Racial acuteness, the fuck is that? I feel
Well,
like you're making it up, bro.
I am, but I feel like when it comes to the measure of like how strong of a black person you are, or how strong of a white person you are, Mexican, whatever, isn't necessarily going to be tied to as many different things. Especially if you date someone who's not if within your same race or nationality or religion or whatever. You know what I mean? But hey, look at this. So the Merriam the Merriam-Webster dictionary actually has a definition for coon. Uh, well, obviously they don't go into details, but it says used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a black person.
Of course, I'm thinking potential episode titles: Coon Curation, like a curator at a library. We do love our alliteration here, don't we? Here, Jason. That one's probably not going to work, but Jay Cutler said what he said, and immediately everybody knew what the fuck he meant, didn't he?
Oh, there we go.
You realize how unlikable Sage Steele has to be for people to actually like Jay Cutler? Jay
In
Cutler
Chicago,
is not a likable bro.
especially in Chicago. Uh,
With the Jay Cutler face, if resting bitch face is a thing, resting Jay Cutler face is absolutely a thing. Hashtag that.
Obviously, well, so I wanted to actually find like like an urban, which I came across Urban Dictionary. So I wanted to find how they define coon because I figured they might go into more detail in regards to like what makes someone a coon. But the definition they have is a person who insults his own race.
Yes.
Mom, what is the man saying? He's just cooning on black people as like a use it in a sentence kind of a thing. Um, Use of this term as an ethnic slur derives from the practice of using coonhound. Okay, that's interesting. Um, okay, well, there you go.